students, it's Chase with Star Tutors again, and I hope this finds you guys doing well, preparing for your next ACT exam. As always, I'm here to try to give you some insights and some advice on how you can best prepare for the exam, and if you can believe it, there is a way to actually be a pretty good guesser on the ACT. And so we're going to talk about how to identify which answer choices you want to guess, and how that can really impact and have a really positive impact in that for that matter on your overall test. So without further ado, let's get into this. Again, what we're looking at is the 74C ACT test form. This is test number 4 in the ACT Red Book, so the practice test guide that I'm sure you guys have seen before. This is test number 4. What you're looking at now is just an ACT bubble sheet. And before we started the video, I actually went through and just randomly bubbled in correct answers and skipped a few. I have no idea how these correspond to real questions on the test. But this is the 74C math test. And again, I went through, I had the answer sheet in front of me, and I just started randomly bubbling, and then I'd skip a question here and there based on that 3-pass method that you guys remember that we continue to use in our math videos. If you haven't seen the ACT 3-pass math method, it's applicable for science as well. Please go back and watch one of our ACT math videos so that you understand why it is that we skip certain questions on the test. Remember that the math section theoretically gets harder as it goes, but there will be questions early on in the test at different points in the test that you may not feel totally comfortable with. So while I left the last 10 questions blank, all 10 of those, I randomly left blank some questions in the middle of the test that theoretically I'm looking at those and I'm like, I don't really know what's going on here. So I'm gonna leave this one. I don't want to answer it because I'm not exactly sure how to answer it. And I'm gonna answer all the questions that I do 100% know how to do. So with the layout of the test that you see in front of you, the benefit to skipping questions on the math test is to maximize your overall score. And what I mean by that is you'll see that I've skipped 15 total questions. I even missed one. You guys can see the red mark there. I incorrectly bubbled one and just thought, well, I incorrectly bubbled it, so that's going to happen on a test. But every other question that's marked in blue and is not number 48 marked in red, every other question is right according to the 74C math test answer sheet. What I want you guys to see is by taking away these 15 questions, so the 10 hard questions at the end, along with 5 random questions somewhere in the test, I'm taking that 15 to 20 minutes, right? Because you get about a minute per question on math, but all of these questions are ones that I didn't know how to do. And I'm taking that 15 to 20 minutes that I would have spent on those questions, and I'm applying it to every other question to guarantee accuracy on the exam. And at the end of the test, with maybe a minute left over, a minute remaining, I'm going to leave it to myself to look at my bubble sheet and try to figure out which answer choice I should bubble in based on how many times they've come up. And amazingly, the ACT, all sections of the ACT are relatively evenly distributed. Every answer choice, or basically every answer column, right? So A, F, B, G, C, H, every single answer column is relatively evenly distributed. So theoretically, we should have 12, right? 12 answer choices per column, right? There should be 12 correct answer choices per column if it was perfect. It is not. So don't add up, don't count up how many answers you have and think that it's going to be 12 exactly, but it is going to be pretty well distributed. So it's going to be like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that range. It will always have that many, and again, it'll be pretty well evenly distributed, but not perfect. It won't be 12 for all 5 columns of the math section, but it'll be pretty close, and you'll see that here in a second. So again, guys, knowing that I've gotten all of these other questions right, and we're going to assume that you've taken the 15 to 20 minutes that you would have spent on the hard questions, and you're going to apply it to guarantee that you're accurate on those other questions. Okay, so again, we're going to take the 15 to 20 minutes, and we're going to guarantee accuracy. And that's what we see here. So of the 45 questions that I did answer, which are in blue, I only missed one question, which was number 48, because I took all of that extra time and I applied it to make sure I was accurate on those 45. So right now, theoretically, you're in the middle of the test. You're sitting at 44 out of 45 questions answered correctly, because those are all questions that would be easier or that you knew how to do. So what you guys are going to see is if we look back now at our bubbles, knowing that those bubbles are correct and knowing that they would be correct if we've been accurate, just like I hope you guys are, right? What you'll see is, does everybody see how that answer column A and answer column E, so AF and EK, as you look at this bubble sheet and we go down, right? So 1 through 10 here and then 11 through 20. look how few times AF and EK are bubbled in. Okay, so like if you look at this, AF and EK are bubbled in, and so if you want to, you can count up which of those answer columns you've used the least. So let's do that. For AF, I have 1, number 4, 2, number 17, none in the third column, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the fourth column. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I should say, and then number 41 is number 6. So there are 6 A's and F's used up through the first 45 questions of the test. Let's see E and K. Let's see, 1, none in the second column, 2, 3, 2, 3 in the third column, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've used 8 for the EK column. So A and F is actually the one that I should use because I've used it the least to that point in the exam. So again, all I'm going to do is now I'm going to go back all of my answer choices that I skipped on the test. I've highlighted in green, and I'm just going to fill in. Yeah, I'm going to fill in A and F, the same letter all the way down. And we'll talk about why that is hard to do psychologically, but why it is so important that you guys do that. So A and F, okay, I'm filling that all the way down. No matter what, 49 should be AF as well, because I only used that 6 times. And again, this is a random selection. This isn't just like it's the last 15 on the test. This is a random selection of bubbles. So I'm bubbling in AF all the way down, just like I want you guys to do on the real test. And my assumption is that I've answered 44 out of 45 questions right because I didn't spend time on those ones I didn't know how to do. I just left those ones blank. Then I looked back with about a minute and a half to go on the test. I would look back and I would say, okay, which answer choice have I used the least, assuming that I've been accurate? And I hope the only way this works is if you've been accurate. But again, that's got to be our expectation. If we want to improve our ACT math score, we have to make sure that we're accurate. So that's how we're going to bubble in A and F. So let me show you guys how this would have worked out. Again, I just randomly bubbled this in. Okay, but let me show you how this would have worked out. I randomly bubbled in to start, and then I went back and looked at the actual score key for the ACT 74C math section, and look what I found. So through those 45 questions that I answered, you guys can see this over here or down below, I was right that and I knew I was right because I knew what the answers were, right? I was right, though, in saying that there were 6 A's and F's and that there were 7. I actually missed one, so that one of the E's and K's, there were 7 E's and K's. And what you guys will see is that if you guess the correct letter, right? If you look back and you find the answer choice that's been used the least, look how many A's and F's we have. We have 1 here. Okay, we have 2, 3, 4, 5. We answer 5 additional questions correct, and this is the actual breakdown of all of the answer choices on the 74C math section. So remember how I said that it's not perfect, it's not 12, 12, 12, and 12? It's very close. Look, there were 11 A's and F's on this test, there were 12 B's and G's, there were 13 C's and H's, 13 D's and J's, and 11 E's and K's. If you actually go and count the answer column throughout. It's amazing, but it's true. And not only is it true of the 74C math test, it's true that the answer choices are evenly distributed on not perfectly, but almost perfectly throughout the entire test. So it's your job then, when you answer, if you've skipped questions on the math section using the 3-pass method, it's your job just to go back and look at the other answer choices, see which one you've used the least, which answer column. In this case, it was A and F, right? And then you're going to bubble in A and F for the rest of the way down. And what that leads to is you get 5 out of 15. We had 15 remaining questions, and 5 of those 15, right, which is statistically way higher than it should be, you get 5 additional answer choices right. That's crazy. Okay, so 5 questions right. So let's see how that translates on your test. So let's come down to the scale here, and let's see how that translates on your math section. So again, you're taking away all of this stress and all of this anxiety, and you're saying that you're going to answer 44, right? Because we missed one. Before we started guessing, we had 44 out of 45 questions answered correctly. And then when we started guessing, we got 5 additional questions right, which means we got 49 out of 60 total. We got 49 out of 60. And what you guys will see is that's a 29 on the ACT math section. If we wouldn't have missed that one question, if I would have said 45 out of 45, then you would have been 50 out of 60, right? 50 out of 60, and you would have gotten a 30 on the math section. Now, let me tell you why this is so significant. It's so significant because if you use this method, going into that guessing strategy, we would have answered 45 out of 60 questions correctly, right? Going into the guessing strategy, we would have answered 45 out of 60. In school, that's equal to a 75% or a C minus. However, on the ACT math section, if you use this strategy, you look at all the 45 questions that you absolutely 100% know how to do, you're accurate on those 45 questions, 45 out of 60 allows you to then guess using the guessing strategy that we just described. 45 out of 60 adds 5 questions to that. And really, you're looking at a 50 out of 60, which is equivalent to a 30, which is an A. That's in the 94th percentile. That's the 94th percentile nationwide. So again, the reason this is so hard to reason with is because in school, when we have to guess on 15 out of 60 questions, we come home and we're like, Mom, Dad, I failed that test. That was atrocious. On the math section of the ACT, on every section of the ACT, if you're willing to put this strategy to use, and I highly encourage you, just try it because it works at every level. If you get 50 questions right and you guess on the last 10 instead of the last 15, let's say you get 3 more. Now instead of a 30, you get a 32. This works at every level by taking away some of the stress that comes along with the hardest questions that we don't necessarily know how to do anyway, and not worrying about those for 1 second and then just guessing the least used answer all the way down, like A and F, right? The least used answer column all the way down. We're going to get a 30 by only answering 75% of the questions. Imagine if I asked you that in school. Imagine if your math teacher came up to you today and was like, look, John, all you need to do is answer 75% of these questions on your test today. And they only have to be the 75% of those questions that you 100% know how to do. And on the remaining 25% that are super hard, John, I don't want you to answer those at all. Okay? I don't want you to think about those at all. I want you to you can just leave them blank. I just want you to guess on those. Just guess something on those 25%. And if you do that, I'll give you a 94. I'll give you an A on this test. If you had that on a math fund, if your math teacher approached you with that, you'd be like, is this guy on something? There's no way, right, that you would be able to reconcile that in your mind, to reason that in your mind. On the ACT math section, it's completely different. That is 100% a true statement that you don't have to answer as many questions correctly as long as you answer those questions accurately. So if you go into it 45 out of 45 and then guess all the way down the same letter column, right? A, F, B, G, C, H, you guess the same letter column all the way down, your score will skyrocket. You'll go from a 27 to a 30 just by guessing. Now, why is this so hard to do? It's really hard to do, guys, because we don't want to just, our mind tells us that we don't want to just guess the same letter down. We say to ourselves, well, what happens if I just guess randomly and I could get every question right? What I want to show you is that if you were to randomly guess every single one of these 15 questions, right? You have a 1/5 chance of getting each of these questions right. You would do 1/5 times 1/5 times 1/5 15 times. That would be 1 to the 15th power over 5 to the 15th power. Meaning statistically, if you asked any statistician how to guess on a test like this, they would tell you 100% we should do it the way that I just explained, not just randomly being like A, B, G, right, and all over the place. You guess the same letter down because you have a statistical chance of getting every one of those wrong. You have a much higher chance of getting every single one of those questions wrong than you do of getting every single question right, by far. But if you commit to this and you're willing to just guess the same letter all the way down, you add 5 additional points. You added 5 additional questions, which results in 3 ACT points on the math section, and you only had to answer 75% of the questions. That's crazy. It really is crazy. But why is it so psychologically difficult? Because we know we're going to miss questions. By guessing A and F all the way down, I actually missed 10 questions, right? I actually missed 10 out of 15 were incorrect, but 5 out of 15 were correct. Okay, it's so tricky to psychologically to want to do this, because we know that if we guess A and F all the way down, you're going to miss some questions. There's no doubt in my mind that it's not going to be 15 straight questions of A and F, but you're maximizing your score. You're becoming a great test taker by using this method. And again, if you asked any statistician with all the facts that I've just presented to you, any statistician in the world, this would be one of the only mathematical certainties on the ACT that if you chose one of the answer choices, and again, if you chose E and K instead of A and F, right, that was the second least used answer choice, you still would have gotten 4 additional questions right. Right? If you guessed A and F, you get 5 right. If you guessed EK, you get 4 right. But either way, the 2 least used answer columns were the ones that gave you the most points, guessing all the way down, straight down at the end. And again, any statistician would agree with this, but it's so hard. Any psychologist would say it's so hard to want to actually do this, to actually guess, knowing we're going to get questions wrong, but realizing that by doing this, we're missing questions, but we're also maximizing our overall score. So again, amazingly, there is a way to be a great guesser on the ACT. There's a pretty even distribution of answer columns, right? A, F, B, G. It switches off letters on the ACT on every section. But there's a great way to be a great guesser if you are truly committed to this idea that every answer choice or every answer column shows up about the same amount of times. Not perfectly the same amount, but close to 11, 12, 13, 13, 11, right? Pretty close to the same amount of times as you just saw in that 74C math test. So guys, I hope all of this makes sense. I hope the idea of this guessing method makes sense to you. If it doesn't, please make sure you comment below. We'd love to explain it further if everything didn't immediately sink in. But I promise you that if you spend time on the questions that you do know how to do 100%, you're only focused on the questions you know how to do, and you leave 10 to 15, but you're taking the time that you would have spent on those to make sure you're accurate on the easier questions that you do know how to do, and then you guess the same letter all the way down by looking back at your bubble sheet. Again, take a look at the bubble sheet. It's pretty obvious that A and F and E and K, if you look at my bubble sheet here, it's pretty obvious that which answer columns were used the least. If you do that and you just bubble those letters in, you're guaranteed to maximize your score, and that's what being a great test taker is all about. Okay, so I hope all of this made sense, guys. I hope you guys are doing well with your preparation. There is amazingly a way to be a good guesser on the ACT, and you just heard how to do it. We share this with all of our students in our classes, so this is some pretty heavy insight. I hope you guys found this useful. And again, if you have any questions for us, make sure you comment below. Finally, remember to download the Star U app. That's our free app in the App Store and on Google Play, which has all of our ACT and SAT content there for free. If you guys have any questions for us, please make sure you let us know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and good luck on your next test. We'll see you soon.